this guy was so clearly a danger and notorious. Mm-hmm. This is the guy who was the subject for, he was called Merchant of Death. That's pretty cool enough, by the way.
Yeah,
Don't like this guy. I'm just saying the nickname is pretty cool.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then he was so notorious, he was the one depicted by Nicolas Cage in that awful, well, I don't know if it was awful. They bleed together, but I don't remember loving it. The Lord of War Nicolas Cage movie. This is about this guy who we just traded. So Brittany Griner was released, of course, you know this from the Gulag, mm-hmm. And she was traded. So let's just first, before we get to this, Joe Biden gave a speech, very short speech.
Yeah. That's all he can do.
He only has so much in him. I think it was about 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Announced that she had been released and exchanged for, well, you probably know who it is, but let's hear him say it. Former Vice President.
I want to thank all the hardworking public servants across my administration who worked tirelessly to secure her release.
So just for the record, Griner, if you don't know, has obviously been in custody since February of
this year.
February this year.
Yeah.
Was it February 22nd?
No,
or was it just February 2022?
2022.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure that I have that right. I have a 2-2 in my mind. She was arrested for carrying hash oil, which is THC concentrate. Look, I don't care where you line up, and of course, I don't think that people should be arrested for smoking weed. I've been very clear on that. I also just don't like it when people are, vaping their THC hash oil and tell me that it's to cure their cancer.
Cataracts.
Cataracts, that's true. Oh, really? You're the only 21-year-old with cataracts? So... Yeah. In summary, Brittany Griner, a tattooed lesbian middling WNBA player, was traded for Viktor Bout, a convicted notorious arms dealer who was actually nicknamed the Merchant of Death in what many people are hailing as the worst prisoner swap since we traded El Chapo for Muggsy Bogues. So that's something that, you would think we could maybe get right.
Man.
Two very short people that are angry.
Hit the like button if you don't think this was a worthy swap.
Fool me twice.
By the way, you don't get Merchant of Death as a nickname by chance.
By the way,
That's
can we
cool
just
nickname?
Even though I don't like him, that is an awesome nickname.
It's a very, very cool nickname.
Yes.
Like if you're trying to get nicknames, like a lot of times you got to work your way up a little bit. He's the Merchant of Death, guys.
You're trying to get people to call you that. You're like, sometimes on the weekend I work as a merchant. You're just like selling Dia de la Muerte shirts. You're like, what does this make you think of? Well, I'm a merchant of death. I guess that's my lower third.
T-Bone.
So Victor, is it pronounced Viktor Bout?
Bout,
even though it's pronounced,
it looks like Bout.
It looks like Bout. I'm American, so I don't really care. By the way, you can check all the references at louderwithcrowder.com. This guy, who we traded Brittany Griner for, found guilty of conspiring to sell millions of dollars worth of weapons to a terrorist organization based in Colombia. So to give you an idea, we're not just talking about a few handguns, a few Saturday night specials. We're talking about a guy who sold 800 surface-to-air missiles, 30,000 AK-47s, 10 million rounds of ammo, 5 tons of C4,
tons?
Airplanes with grenade launchers.
What? 5 tons seems like a bit of overkill.
He was also, did you know this? Comment below. Did you know he was also a gun runner for Al-Qaeda and the Taliban?
Oh, geez. Okay.
He supplied arms to warlords in the Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of Congo. By the way, that movie sucked. Sudan, Libya. I almost said Sudan because that's how something. Sudan. And by the way, when asked about supplying both sides of the Angolan civil war, this is what this guy said: "If I didn't do it, someone else will." So before we move on to anything else, gun control is dead. Yeah. It's done. It's done. Okay, can we agree on that? This is it. You cannot release this guy for a WNBA player who was breaking the laws of Russia, mind you.
Right.
Just to be clear, I think it's a stupid law, but you also have to understand that not every place is the United States. So we are going to release a man who has killed, we can't even number the amount of people, DEA agents, police, that have been killed in the drug war and the people who he's supplied, while we arrest Americans in some states for having more than 10 rounds.
Yeah.
And the gun control argument is done. The idea when we say, hey, hold on a second, if you ban guns, criminals are still going to be able to get it illegally. Why? Because of this guy who you gave to Russia as a gift with a bow.
Right. So right now, if the DEA busts a straw purchaser who's gone out and sold 100 handguns on the streets, they would have a press conference. They would have the mayor. They would have everybody there front and center. Look at the job that we've done. You just released a guy who would do that before breakfast. Like, it's not even close to how many... How many anti-aircraft It's not like one or two. Like one or two is a
Yeah,
nightmare.
let me make sure I have all the
800 surface-to-air missiles.
and 30,000 AK-47s, or to the Colombian drug lords, they call them party favors.
You get nervous if one of those surface-to-air missiles go missing. 709. It's like the FBI with the Dr. Nasser thing. It's like 799 more than the nervous level.
Yes, it's not a mundane detail.
No, jeez.
So this is wherever you line up. I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think most Americans didn't want Brittany Griner in a Russian prison.
Right.
Wanted her back. I think that's most Americans. And don't be gaslit, because right now they're going to try and say, oh, conservatives they're just mad about this because she's lesbian, she's a lesbian black WNBA player. No. I mean, it doesn't help.
She is immediately cut by her WNBA team, who now has to honor her contract. We're like, oh, great.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Gosh. We have to start canvassing the stands again. Let's send out the open mic barkers. You want to watch WNBA game? No, I don't. Why? Because I have anything else to do. So I think most Americans, and you can hit the like button or hit share because the YouTube algorithm wants to tell you that we are all dead right now. And of course, Carrie Lake is coming on. So there's someone sitting there with the ban button at YouTube going, I don't know what I'm doing here. I think you're glad that she's out of prison. Think it was a bad swap because this government is completely inept.
How about this? If we trade Fauci for her, I'm fine with that. He goes to the Russian gulag. She comes back to the United States. That's a deal, right?
Yes.
You take that deal?
Yes, put him in a flea cage helmet.
There you go. They've got fleas there.
Yeah.
You can make it happen.
I mean, I assume so.
It's Russia.
If not, just check Putin's diaper.
Oh.
So he's walking around like the Bebe's kids. So in 2010, to give you an idea who this guy was, and there's more to this story, there are more wrinkles here. 2010, Michael Braun, the former chief of operations for the United States DEA, said this about the guy we just gave up for a WNBA player.
Viktor Bout, in my eyes, is one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
On the face of the earth.
Without a doubt.
But that's some brilliant reporting there.
Unless somebody
He just repeats it back to him.
Yeah, on the face of the earth.
On the face of the earth, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Huh. You're just repeating everything I say. Repeating
everything you say. I'm going to fake write something down on my notepad.
Hold on, I'm ready.
Fix it one more time, a bomb goes off.
Yeah. Oh, son of a gun.
I'm invincible. So this guy was so clearly a danger and notorious. Mm-hmm. This is the guy who was the subject he was called a merchant of death. That's pretty cool enough, by the way. Don't like this guy. I'm just saying the nickname is pretty cool.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then he was so notorious, he was the one depicted by Nicolas Cage in that awful, well, I don't know if it was awful. They bleed together, but I don't remember loving it. The Lord of War Nicolas Cage movie. This is about this guy who we just traded.
Hey, don't be shy. Here, look. Free sample. Help yourself, okay? Free sample. Tell your friends. Come here, you want something? Look. RPG, all for you, all right? Happy times. Come on. Help yourselves. No charge. Everything goes. Guys, come on! Here.
That's what this guy does. Yeah. Like, obviously, he was trying to get out. They were depicting a situation getting out of being in trouble with the DEA. But that's essentially what he was doing anyway, even though he was selling it and making a profit doing it. Kids!
Now, that being said, I would have traded absolutely anyone to get Nicolas Cage back if he had been arrested. That man's a national treasure. Really? Yes, absolutely.
Is that a pun intended?
I actually didn't intend for it, and I hate myself now. You put Americans at risk because we have to compromise our safety, like trading a notorious arms dealer likely responsible for the deaths of thousands of Americans because you couldn't be bothered to go a day without your completely non-addictive, highly concentrated THC oil.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, putting this guy back on the streets, how many more people do you think he's been reformed? Do you think that the good old American justice system has really gotten to him? Like his heart's grown 3 sizes and he's no longer going to sell?
You think Russia's going to discipline him?
Yeah. No, Russia's basically going to put him on the streets and say, hey, guess where we need arms right now? Ukraine. Would you like to help us facilitate some transactions right now? Because that's what you do. You help people in conflicts. We're in a conflict. We're getting our butts kicked right now. Can you maybe lend a hand?
This guy will be taken to a Russian cell with a new bottle of Remy Martin and Boll and Branch bed sheets.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.